So in this video, we are looking at the parallel line properties, the parallel lines cut by a transversal, and we're going to look at finding angle measures. So when I guess we know the lines are parallel, we know a few things about our angle pairs. So if the lines are parallel, if the coplanar lines are parallel, then we know the following. Okay, so we know that alternate interior angles are congruent. That's the first thing. We know that alternate exterior angles are congruent. We know that all corresponding angles are congruent. So a lot of them are congruent. And then there's one that's not, and we know that same side interior are supplementary. Okay, so 180 degrees. So one way to kind of remember is that like the only one that is supplementary of these angle pairs is the one that starts with S. So same side interior is supplementary, S and S. Okay, all the rest are congruent. So when we find our angles, we know that in this diagram, R is parallel to T. So that has to be true in order to find the angle measures on T, if they don't give me one of the measures. And we know that this angle here is 142. So we want to find the measure of angle 1, measure of angle 2, 4, and 6. I'm actually going to find all of them. Okay, so the first one we know, the obvious is angle 1 is 142 because it's vertical. So I can find that. And then I can kind of go from there and find 7 and 3. We know that they form that straight angle, so they're supplementary. So to find 7, I would do 180 minus 142. And that gives me 38. And then I know that angle 3 is vertical to that, so angle 3 is also 38. Or I could again do 180 minus 142 to get angle 3. Okay, so those are these 4 angles. That has nothing to do with the angle pairs. We learned that in unit 1. Okay, now when I want to find these angles, I use these relationships. So you can use a lot of different ones when you're doing them. So if I look at like angle 1, it's 142. And I think, okay, I want to find angle 2. Well, angle 1 and angle 2 are alternate interior. So angle 2 is also 142 degrees. Or you could say angle 2 and 142 are corresponding. They're in that same location, the top right of those coplanar lines. And so they're also congruent and also 142. Okay. Now, once you know that, you could find all the rest of them doing the same way we did here, but I'm just going to focus on the angle pairs for it. So angle 4, if I want to find that, well, okay, angle 4 is corresponding to angle 7. So that's also going to be 38, corresponding or congruent. Or we know that 1 and 4 are same side interior, so they're supplementary. So you could also do 180 minus 142 to get 38. Okay, and then 6, again, you could use the vertical angle, so it's 38. You could also say 6 is corresponding to 3, so they're equal. And then angle 5 is 142. Again, it's corresponding to 1 or it's vertical. So I need to write the justifications because they asked us, at least for the angles that I found. So if I'm talking about angle 1 to start. Okay, so that equals 142 since it is vertical to 142 degrees. And the measure of angle 2 is equal to 142 because it is alternate interior to angle 1. And then what was the next one? The measure of angle 4 equals 38. And again, I'm going to just focus on my angle pairs because I'm going to use the ones we found, 1, 2. So I'm looking at 1 because it is same side interior to angle 1, which means they are supplementary. And then The last one they wanted was the measure of angle 6, which would equal 38. And since I had to find 4, I can use that justification since it is vertical to angle 4. Okay, and let me just add a reasoning. So we know since it's vertical angles are congruent. And then for number 2, alternate interior angles are congruent. And then 4, it's same side interior. Okay, I justified that one. And then vertical to angle 4 and vertical angles are congruent. Okay, so that's an example of finding the angle measures and justifying them. Okay, we're gonna do one more of finding the angle measures. So it says P is parallel to Q. We're gonna find all the numbered angles above. Okay, so kind of starting with what we learned initially. Okay, I have 65. If I look across from it, angle 2 is also 65 because it's vertical. And if you had to justify, you would say angle 5 is vertical to 65 and vertical angles are congruent. Okay, from there, I can't find 1 or 9 yet because I don't know 2 of the angles. I'm like missing 2 and I don't know if these are equal. So I'm kind of stuck there. If I go to 36, okay, I know angle 6 is also 36 because it's vertical. I then can find 7 and 8 because they're supplementary to the 36. So 7 is going to be 180 minus 36. Which is 144. And then angle 8 is going to be the same thing. It's also 144 because they're vertical. Okay, so we get those. Now, these angles, I can't use these angles to find because this line and this line are not parallel. Okay, remember the angle pairs have to be created by parallel lines in order to use those relationships that we learned. So we do know that P is parallel to Q. And so therefore I can use this line here. This is considered my transversal. And then I can use my lines P and Q. So the main one I know is 65. And if I look at 65, okay, I have angle 4 and angle 3. And you can find either one first, it doesn't matter. But angle 4 is that alternate interior to angle 65. So this one is also 65 because alternate interior angles are congruent. And then for angle 3, you can either use like that 65 or you can use the one that's adjacent to it. But angle 3 is going to be 180 minus 65. Okay, either because it's same side interior with the 65 or it's supplementary to the 4 because they form that straight angle. So this is 115. And then from there, angle 5 is vertical to angle 3. So that's 115 since vertical angles are congruent. Okay, so we have all those. Now we need 9. Okay, so again, now I can use this line here. Okay, that is also a transversal. And that transversal creates with P angle 9 and then either angle 7 or 36. And so I can compare these angles to angle 9. And you can use different ones. Since 9 and 6 are alternate interior, they're congruent. So 9 is going to be 36. You could also say 9 is corresponding to 36. They're in that same location, in the bottom right. So they're equal, or you could use that 9 and 7 are same side interior. So they're supplementary. And then the last one is angle 1. So you kind of have 2 options. The one option is that angle 1, 2, and 9 form that straight angle. So to find the measure of angle 1, you could do 180 minus 65 minus 36 because those 3 angles have to add up to 180 since they make that straight line. Okay, and that gives me 79. Okay, sometimes students don't see that. So the other option is you could use the triangle, and the triangle adds up to 180. So you could find like this angle here, doing the same thing, 180 minus 65 minus 36. And then that angle and angle 1 are vertical. So that would be the other way to find it. Okay. So those are a few examples of using the angle pairs to find angle measures.